Okay, so once upon a time there was a princess, a pretty young princess. She was 20 years old. 20 years old, so a young woman. And so she lived in a huge palace with her father, the king. A really big, huge palace, right? Like a big castle, a big palace. Because her father was the king in this area. And now the young woman, she didn't have very many friends. So every day she liked to go outside and play by herself outside in the forest. There was a forest, lots of trees, a forest right next to the big palace, their home. And so she went outside one day into the forest, like usual, and she was playing with a golden ball. She had a small ball, a golden ball, and she liked to throw the ball. She had it's a pretty small ball, and she tossed the ball in the air. Tossed, like she threw the ball in the air, or she tossed the ball up in the air. She tried to toss the ball way up high and then catch the ball in her hand again. So she did that many times. She threw the ball up and she caught it. She threw it up, she caught it. She tossed the ball up and down. But one time when she threw the ball up very, very high, it came back down and it slipped through her fingers. It slipped through. It slipped through her fingers. The ball went through her fingers and fell down on the ground. Then the ball rolled on the ground. It rolled into a pond. There was a pond here, right? A pond, like a small lake, right? Some water, a pond, a kind of small area of water on the ground. So the ball rolled into the pond, and the ball fell down in the water in the pond. So the young princess reached out her hand. She put her hand in the pond, and she reached down into the pond to get the ball. But the pond was too deep. Yeah, the water went very far down, very deep water. So she tried to reach for the ball, but she couldn't get it. "Oh no," she said out loud. And then she heard a voice say, "What's wrong?" Now, the princess was very startled. Startled, like very surprised, kind of scared, because she was alone. She was alone in the forest. And so, yeah, when she heard a voice say, "What's wrong?" she was, very startled, surprised. Oh my gosh. So she looked around, but all she saw was a frog sitting on the edge of the pond. Okay, a frog. Yeah, a frog. Give him some black. A frog, right? We know a frog, the animal, yeah, a frog. There was a frog sitting on the edge of the pond. And the princess is very confused. But then she heard the voice again say, "What's wrong?" And she saw the frog's lips moving. So she knew the frog was talking to her. And she was very surprised. But she said, "Well, my golden ball fell down in the pond and I can't get it back." Well, the frog said, "Oh, I can help you. But I will need something in return. What can you give me in return?" And the woman, the princess, she said, "Oh, I can give you my necklace, my bracelet, my fancy clothes, anything you want. I'll give you anything you want, just tell me, and I'll give it to you." And the frog answered, "Oh, I don't care about fancy clothes or jewelry. No, my only wish is for you to love me and to take me home and let me eat dinner with you, next to you at the table. Will you do that for me?"
Yeah.
Now, the princess thought this was a very odd request. Yeah, an odd, like very strange, weird, an odd request. Right, request when someone asks for something. Right? So the frog requested to sit next to her and eat dinner with her. The princess thought it was an odd request, but the princess said, "Well, yes, sure, yes, I promise I'll do that." Now, in her head, she kind of thought, "Oh, this is a silly, dumb frog. I don't need to do what he said. I'll just leave the forest after he gives me my ball." So the frog said, "Okay," and the frog jumped down into the pond. He went under the water. He got the ball in his mouth. He swam back up to the top of the water, and he spit out the ball on the ground. Spit out the ball. Spit out the ball from his mouth on the ground. Yeah, he spit out the ball. He swam in the water, and then swam. Right, like swim, but in the past, swam. And then so he had the ball in his mouth, and then he spit out the ball on the ground. So he spit it out here on the ground. And so the princess was very happy. She had her ball. So she picked up her ball, she said, "Thank you," and she ran away. She ran home to the palace. And soon the princess totally forgot about the frog and the promise she made to the frog. She totally forgot. Well, the next night, the princess was having dinner with her father, the king. They were sitting at the table, and so the king, her father, was sitting with her eating dinner, and when they were sitting and eating dinner, then suddenly they heard a knock on the door. And they heard a voice saying, "Princess, princess, please open the door." Well, the young woman, the princess, was very curious to see who it was. Curious. She wondered, she didn't know who it was. She was curious. Who could be knocking at the door? So she stood up, she went to the door, she opened the door, and she saw the frog sitting there on the steps in front of the door. Well, she slammed the door, right? Slammed. She closed the door very hard. She slammed the door, slammed it closed, and she went back inside. She sat down at the table with her father again. Now, her father could see she was very scared, startled. So her father asked, "What's wrong? Who was at the door? Was it something dangerous? A dangerous animal? Dangerous person?" And the woman said, No. It was just a disgusting frog. Disgusting. Disgusting, like, ugh, he's ugly. I don't like him. Maybe he smells bad. Disgusting, like, no. I don't like that frog. Ugly, disgusting frog. Ugh. And her father asked, "Well, why would a frog want to talk to you?" And so the princess explained to her father what happened. She told him that she lost her golden ball, the frog found it, gave it back to her, and she told her father about the promise she'd made to the frog. Well, when her father heard this, he said, "If you made a promise, you need to keep your promise. So you need to go back and open the door, let the frog inside." Well, the princess didn't want to let the frog inside her home, but she knew she needed to obey her father. Obey her father. Listen to her father. She needed to do what her father said. So the princess went back to the door. She opened the door. She let the frog come inside. The frog followed her to the dinner table. And then the frog said, "Please lift me up so I can sit beside you on the table." Well, the princess didn't want to sit next to the disgusting frog, but she looked at her father, and her father had a very stern face. Okay, stern, like very serious. Yeah. He's maybe a little angry, very serious, very stern, a stern face. She looked at her father's stern face, and she knew she needed to obey her father. So she picked up the frog and put him on the table next to her. So the frog is sitting on the table. And the frog sat next to her plate of food. She had her plate of food, and the frog started eating the food from her plate. Well, the princess looked at the frog in disgust. Okay, so kind of like disgusting, but she looked at him in disgust. She looked at the frog and she thought, he's disgusting. I don't want to share my food with him. But she knew her father was there watching her, so she just ate her food. She shared her food on her plate with the disgusting frog. Well, at the end of the meal, the frog said, "Please take me upstairs to your bedroom. I want to sleep in your bed with you." And the princess was so disgusted. She did not want the ugly, slimy frog. Slimy. Okay, frogs are kind of slimy. Like if you touch a frog, it's kind of wet and disgusting. Yeah. You touch the frog, it's very slimy. Yeah. And so the princess didn't want a slimy, disgusting frog in her bed with her. She had a nice, clean bed. But when she looked at her father gave her an angry look. And she knew she needed to obey her father. So she took the frog upstairs to her bedroom, and she laid down in her bed, and the was there next to her in her bed. And right before, as the princess was starting to fall asleep, the frog said, "I have just one last request. One more thing I need. Please give me one kiss." Well, the princess thought, "Oh, no, I do not want to kiss this horrible, slimy, ugly frog." But the frog said, "Please, this is my last request, my last wish from you. If you kiss me, then after you kiss me, if you want, I will go away forever." So the princess thought, "Oh, okay, well, maybe if this is the only way I can get rid of the frog, this is the only way he'll go away, then okay, I'll kiss the frog." So the princess closed her eyes and she kissed the frog very lightly on his slimy lips. But as soon as she kissed the frog, suddenly a bright light shined in the room. And the frog disappeared, and suddenly a tall, handsome man appeared in her room. Yeah. A tall, handsome man. And the man explained to her that he was really a prince, but a witch had cursed him many years ago. Cursed. When, if a witch gets angry and does something bad to a person, to make something bad in their life. So the witch cursed the prince, so he turned into a frog. Yeah. He was a prince, but the witch cursed him, made him turn into a frog. And the only way to break the curse was a kiss from a princess. So, finally, the frog, he was not a frog anymore. He was just a prince, a handsome prince. So, after that, the young princess invited him to stay in the palace with her. And eventually they got married and lived together happily ever after. The end.
Very good. Very good.